that shared yesterday. So we have 5 groups with 5 different topics, all related to pain, all related to medical education, and we have given which year which year these topics are covered. So I hope you got some time to go over it. So we have today 5 mentors. So you will have one expert in your room, whichever room you are in. Dr. Baburaj is heading the Department of Emergency Medicine in Thrissur Government Medical College, Thrissur. Dr. Vineetha was in palliative care for many years. She has just completed her MD, and she is associated with us for many years as faculty. Dr. Sunil is, most of you are familiar with Dr. Sunil, is the additional director of TIPS. Dr. Biasin is working in Delhi. She is assistant professor in pharmacology. DrParul is also based in Delhi, and she is also associated with us as faculty for quite some time. Thank you all the mentors for joining us for today's session. So now we will be dividing you into groups. You will get a prompt on your screen to join the room. So you will be assigned to the group that we have discussed yesterday. We'll be giving you 30 minutes to discuss and come up with a plan. So you all have done your individual readings and everything yesterday. So you can discuss among your group, like how are you going to teach this particular topic? What will be your plan? Or what is, maybe some of you have already started teaching these topics. You can ask input from them, like what was the success factor, what could have been better, etc. So come up with a plan after 30 minutes, and one person from each group will be presenting it to the larger group. Like, what is the plan that you have come up with in your group? One person from each group can note down whatever you are discussing. You can either note down or you can do it in a PPT. Just type it whenever you are telling on a Word document, whichever is convenient for you, and present it after 30 minutes. The plan that you are going to that your group has discussed. And who will represent your group? Shri Priya has a way to tackle that, so that otherwise people will keep pointing fingers to the other person. So we will spin the wheel, and whose name is come in that wheel will be taking the lead in presenting that to the larger group. So over to you, Shri Priya.
Okay. Shall we start spinning the wheels? Anyways, we have to start. So this goes for group number 1.
Dr. Harini? Yeah. So you will be presenting your group.
Okay.
Presenting.
Okay, ma'am.
Two.
Dr. Jyoti, are you there?
Well, in best interest of time, we will move on. If Dr. Jyoti is not available, maybe we can spin the wheel again. Thank God this is a completely free app and I can spin as many times as I like. Dr. Nilakshi?
Dr. Nilakshi was there for, yeah, I could see her on the screen. Dr. Nilakshi, hope you are aware that you are representing your group. We can see your name on the screen. So your group members, please make sure that she knows.
Even if the presenter is not noting, I'm damn sure that the other members will definitely note it.
Oh. Dr. Ramadevi?
Okay, ma'am. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm here. Yeah. Okay.
Dr. Suman? I can see Dr. Suman. So once you are in your individual groups, please inform that it is Dr. Suman. Otherwise, we will be getting onto the rooms and we'll be telling.
So without delay, maybe I think we can.
So now we'll be putting you into individual group rooms. I just wanted to convey one more message, is that this is how you can just engage your students. If you are in small group, they'll be fascinated to. Otherwise, you assign someone, they will feel that, okay, why it's me? Why me question can come? Why the facilitator have chosen me? it could have been the other person. Is it because that I am more interactive, that is why my name came up? So this is some way of engaging them and telling them that it is just the wheel which shows you, not the faculty. And now I know you are all familiar with the group, how to assign group work. So it should have a fixed plan, fixed topics to be given prior to the discussion. They should know which group they are in, what activity they are going to do, which topic they are discussing. So that should be very clear. You can't, without planning, you can't just divide them into groups and start discussing something. The time has to be really planned. Otherwise, you will not get time to have discussion and come back and discuss in the larger group. So that are the basics of any group discussion. So you will get a prompt on your screen. Kindly join your breakout groups.
So
with your
to
mentors.
join maybe after 3, we'll be getting prompt very soon. So here goes.
Thank you so much. Now, I understand maybe in conducting a group discussion, some people will be very interactive. Some students may not talk or contribute at all. It is very important to make sure that everyone contributes, because they might be thinking a lot, they'll have a lot of ideas, but it is the facilitator's job is to involve everyone. Now, we have the issue of being virtually doing it, but when you are doing it with your students, make sure everyone contributes, no one is left out, and adequate time is given for discussion. And after discussion, you can't just, okay, session is over. We have to come back and discuss what you have discussed in the group, so that everyone will get a chance to understand what happened. So just going through the basics of group discussion. Now we will start with group one. Group one is Dr. Harini, right? You can present to the group like your topic and how your group decided. Maybe other groups will have some ideas to contribute also. Over to you, Dr. Harini.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you. The duration of the class is 60 minutes, and the student group is first MBBS students, and the topic is dimensions of pain. So the first 5 minutes of the class, we will be conducting a pre-test, and we'll be telling them that you need not have to worry, though the answers are wrong, it is okay. So we just ask them to go ahead with the pre-test because they are in the first MBBS phase 1. And then the next 5 minutes, we'll be asking them about their own personal experiences regarding pain, if any family member is suffering with pain, and what experience they actually have regarding the pain. And then I'll start with a 30 to 40 minutes didactic lecture with the PowerPoint presentation, where I will be emphasizing on points about the definition of pain, minor brush up regarding the physiology of the pain pathway, different dimensions of pain, and I'll give that scaling of 1 to 10, the pain scale. And then finally, I'll be concluding the didactic lecture by presenting one case scenario. And then after that, we will be having a 10 minutes role play where the students are divided into 2 groups, and they'll be given a case scenarios regarding the pain management, of how the doctor will be covering all the points they'll be asking the patient. In another scenario, that will be an incomplete case taking. So how the pain management should be discussed with the patients and input should be taken. The students will be divided and they will be presenting the individual role plays. That will be there for 10 minutes. And finally, I'll be concluding my class with a post test. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Harini. Any inputs from the other groups? Do you think anything else to be added or something to be reduced from the existing plan? Is it possible to cover everything in 60 minutes? I'm just asking. You have the role plays, and I am glad about the trigger question, so that they will start talking, making some noise when you ask, have you had experienced pain? Either you can ask about your any relatives having pain or their own pain experience. It can be a toothache, headache, and how they perceived it. What did they feel when they have? What were the feelings? What were the thoughts that they had? Especially when they might be having exam next day. So what were your thoughts about the pain? So that trigger question is good, so that you will get everyone on board and they'll start interacting. What about the time? Will you be able to cover all this in time?
Yeah, dimensions of pain is actually a very huge topic. So,
Yes.
so we need not touch all the aspects of dimensions of pain in first MBBS, because pain is such a huge topic. They'll be learning whole through their MBBS, even in anesthesia and all. They'll be learning about the management of pain. So this will be an introductory class regarding the dimensions of pain, and we'll be emphasizing more on the interactive part. Like we will be taking their inputs about their experience and the role plays and all, so that at least they will understand the concept of pain, which is most important as a beginner.
True. There are a few questions and comments. Dr. Srilakshmi is asking me, first MBBS, should the management aspect be touched? I don't think so, because the management aspect will be distributed and during pharmacology. They'll be learning during many sessions on pain medications. And so management aspect need not be covered. The idea for first MBBS, as Dr. Harini said, to understand the various dimensions. It is not just someone else's some physical stimulus, but it is also about the person's experience. It's a pain experience, not just a physical component, so that when they learn subsequent years, they will be little sensitive. Okay, I've given medication, is there anything else that I need to be doing? So sensitizing them to the different dimensions of pain will be the best idea for first MBBS students. You don't need to go into management. As you said, it will be covered in the future semesters, I think. So some people feel that if time is not enough, maybe we can avoid either the role play or the case scenario. Both of them will take time. Role play, it will take time for them to come up with a role play as the players, as the patients. And first MBBS, they'll be little embarrassed to do things in front of the others. So maybe that's something that you can think of. Case scenario, they'll be more comfortable because they can talk in the groups, maybe think, pair, share kind of thing they can do. You discuss a case. Or if you want to save time, give the case scenario on the previous day, tell them to read and come, write a little bit about what you felt when you read the case and discuss. You can call one or two people, not everyone, to discuss what they felt. So at least they will go through the case scenario and write something. Just suggestions, it is not the ideal way, but can be customized according to your student strength and the setting and the resources available. And even the pre-test posters also, now you can make it in the Google form. Everyone
Google
has their
form.
own mobile phones.
Yes.
So previous
we
day
can
you
do
can
that.
send the link, tell them to fill it, posters. You can do it immediately up. So that way we can save a little bit of time, so that you can focus more on the pain part. Thank you so much, Dr. Harini and Group 1. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Over to Group 2.
From Group 2, I'll be presenting.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, group members of Group 2 and Dr. Vineetha for all the inputs and guidance. So the topic for our group given was multimodal approach to pain relief. So the target students of this class are first year students. Number of students 150 students, and we have timed the class for 120 minutes. That is for 2 hours. And the general objective for the class is to understand the principles of multimodal approach to pain relief. Our specific learning objectives are: 1, explain the pain pathway clearly and describe different types of pain, enumerate the drugs used in various levels of pain pathway. And another fourth objective is to enumerate all the non-pharmacological methods of pain relief. As a part of further discussion, first we are going to have 10 minutes of pre-test on Google Forms, and maybe just few 5 questions or something, 5 to 10 questions we are planning as a pre-test for 10 minutes. Then the session begins with the as a part of set induction. We are planning to show a picture of a patient in pain and ask students what comes to their mind when they look at that picture. and to recall if they have seen or experienced pain in their life, among their family members or for themselves. Then as a next, that is for 10 minutes, we're planning the set induction part, and then then our topic goes with the use of a PowerPoint presentation, content including introduction for pain, anatomy and physiology of pain pathway, classification of pain, various types of pain, and total concept of total pain. This is all for about 30 minutes with the use of PowerPoint. That is as a part of didactic lecture. Then we are planning to have a case scenario based discussion. We will give a very simple case scenario and ask the students to enumerate the different types of pain in that case. Just because 2 hours class will be very monotonous, just to keep them a little more engaged, we thought we'll have a simple case scenario for the students. And then we'll continue the class with the enumerating the drugs, working on various pathways and non-pharmacological modalities of pain relief. That is for next 20 minutes. And next 10 minutes post-test. And last 10 minutes for attendance. That is how we have planned the entire session.
Thank you, Dr. Veena. I'll just any other group members have anything to contribute to it? And if you, I mean, one of the groups in the previous batches, they were mentioning if you have, if you can include this during their field visit or their other programs when they go and visit some place, if they are happening to see a patient on pain, suppose you have a palliative care department, you have seen multidisciplinary team handling the patient with pain. So without any of these lectures, just talking to the patient and going through his story might be another way of looking at it. But that depends on your setting again, whether you have time. There are so many students, so you can't take everyone over there, or it can be integrated into various activities they are involved in. So, so for all this, I'm trying to convey that for all this to happen, I mean, you might be from a very different department. You may not be seeing first year students at all, probably. But as mentioned in the CBME, you can always work with the other departments. Suppose you are talking about the pain pathways and the pharmacology person is talking about, okay, in this particular pathway, this is where this particular drug acts. So they can relate things very well. So we hope all of you will work with the other departments to make this happen rather than just going ahead with the theory sessions that we all had gone once. And I'm glad that to break the monotony, you will be giving small case scenarios, or maybe you can trigger some questions like, what are the terms people use when they have pain? So they might be telling burning, or you can use kind of walking wall kind of activity. You can tell them to go and write on the board, one person, what have they heard. So they'll just get up and move around a little bit. So all these activities can be done so that it is not just a didactic which is happening. And along with the resources that we share, you will be having access to many of the videos that we use for our training sessions. So before you are going for a session, if you can't find the link or if something is not opening, just let us know. You can use those videos as trigger videos, trigger for discussions or anything. And we have recorded lectures, which if on demand, like suppose you're going for a session, but you don't feel confident about talking about this particular subject, we can have recorded sessions handed over to you. So there are a few comments. We can ask them to reflect and write about what they have understood from the class in the end. Yes, that's a very good activity. So that sometimes students come up with excellent feedback, and sometimes they are very critical. There will be very critical comments also. Many times when we have sessions for medical students, they come up with very good feedback, like this particular session was very monotonous, or we could have done like this. So they come up with a lot of this thing, and during reflection they ask, or they share some thoughts which we might not have thought about during the session. So that's one way of going ahead. How about beginning the class with the recap of previous class? Yes, that's again another way of, because it is spread over years. When they go to the next department, maybe you can ask, what did you understand from the way that you have learned in the previous year, probably. Yeah. Yes, Dr. Ashwati, we should avoid repetition and discussion on definition of pain pathways. So you can do a quick recap, as Dr. Shivani mentioned. Maybe it might have been already covered in the previous year. So you can just go through a quick recap and ask them what they remember from the previous year. Yeah. And here is the place where there is a multimodal approach to pain management. This is where you should introduce the concept of multidisciplinary team. It is not just about you doctors managing. Probably you should have a counselor, you should have the family members to be with the patient, you should have the community, you should have the nurse talking to you. So that multimodal approach, it is not just specific to medications, multiple medications, but also to the multidisciplinary team. How it is, because you told about the total pain, all four dimensions in the previous session. Now you need people to capture and address all those four dimensions. So this is the place where you can stress upon the importance of having the team on board for pain management. Thank you so much, Dr. Veena, and
Thank you.
for the group 2. There is another, I think Dr. Varsha is telling, yeah. Yes, instead of recap, we can also share some materials before the class to refresh and come well prepared. Maybe a short, something which is really short and interesting to read. It can be probably a lot of narratives come in journals these days where people talk about their pain experience and everything. Maybe you can tell them to read a narrative and come back and discuss that. That will be another way of doing it. Thank you so much, Dr. Varsha, for the comment. Now moving on to group 3.
Yeah, hello, ma'am.
Yes, Dr. Nilash, please.
Yeah,
We could see dolls coming and flying
Oh,
in front of the screen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So my daughter is behind me, so she's 3, so
No problem.
yeah. Sorry about that. So our topic is the pharmacology and the use of drugs for second year MBBS students. So we plan to go ahead in such a way. So our learning objectives will be so that by the end of our lectures, the students should know about the uh, they can enlist the different classes of the pain medications. Then they should be able to describe the pharmacology of non-opioids and the weak opioids and the strong opioids. They should be able to know what is the WHO pain ladder and how to apply it in different case scenarios. Side effect profile of the different drugs and their management, and about the adjuvants that we use along with the main primary pain medications, and also regarding dose modifications in special circumstances like renal failure or some other situations that come along. So, ma'am, before starting, we would like to have a quick. We would be dividing our sessions over 5 to 6 classes, and before our first class, so we'd ask the students to have a quick recap of the pathophysiology of pain, so that they can be prepared beforehand, and we don't have to repeat the same thing about the pathophysiology and the pathways of pain, and so that they can know, which will be easier, so that it will be easier for them to grasp the things. So our first lecture will be on we're planning a 1 hour lecture on the just the names of the different and the classification of the different drugs. and then probably spend around an hour teaching them on paracetamol and NSAIDs and the side effect profiles, and followed by a small group discussion in the first class itself. For the small group discussion, we will be giving them simple case scenarios, and we'll be asking them like what kind of drug would they like to select for that particular case, and also if they can give us a clinical correlate regarding paracetamol, just focusing on paracetamol and NSAIDs, not going beyond that for our first lecture. Then in the subsequent lectures, ma'am, then also we can do a small group discussion based on NSAIDs and paracetamol. Then for the second day, we're planning for weak opioids only, and then so that we can teach them about the same thing will go on for weak opioids, and then regarding your the same group discussion and a small case based discussions. Third day, we are planning to dedicate it to your strong opioids, and along with that, also giving them an introduction to the WHO ladder. And for the fourth and fifth class, we are planning for adjuvants and like your tricyclic antidepressants, the local anesthetics, and the antiepileptics. So, so all these along in all these classes, we are planning that for the first 10 minutes will be based on a quick recap of the previous class. Like for the second day, we'll be asking them like, what do you remember on NSAIDs and paracetamol? And then we'll just the first 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll move on to the our next topic. Also, just to keep it more interactive and interesting, we are also planning to give them a small drug history, like how is opium cultivated, or how is all these drugs, what is their background. Just some small, quick, pointers, not very long things. Then, also. And I think for each class, we'll be doing a pre-test and a post-test to know where we stand and also where the students stand. And at the end of the year, definitely we'll have all these examinations going on, which will have short notes and long questions. And like that is how we plan to go about it for the time being.
Thank you, Dr. Nidakshi, for summarizing. I know that just a curious question to everyone. So these topics will be dealt by the pharmacology department, right? So how are you going to plan and teach there? Any idea? We made all the plans now. How are you going to do that?
So you need to get together the different departments and discuss before actually going to the class. Yeah.
Yes, that's what we expect from you all. That's why I asked the question. Maybe you can tell your someone in pharmacology that can we take this particular topic related to pain, or the drugs used in adjuvants will be covered under many headings, right? Tricyclic antidepressant, they'll be studying in the CNS. So all these drugs will be covered there. You don't need to go to the detailed pharmacology probably again. You can just say that how it is being used and how differently we use that for pain management. What will be the dose, how it is different, and how you're going to use it differently as a analgesic. You don't need to go into the entire pharmacology again. Or they might have already covered NSAIDs, opioids, and everything. Probably you can ask for an hour just for case-based discussion. As someone mentioned in the chat, tell them to write prescriptions, making sure that they are getting the right message that paracetamol can be used for pain management, or morphine, if you are using in a titrated dose, cannot cause respiratory depression, how you can use it safely, how important it is in terms of cancer pain management. So, or WHO ladder, probably that may not be covered already. So if you can't go and take all these 5 lectures, probably you can ask for an hour to summarize how the pain management is being done in this kind of scenarios. That just if that is possible, probably may not be able to go there and ask for all the. Yes, Dr. Parul, that's a very good idea. Preparing a poster of WHO ladder. Yes, that's a giving some engaging activity. Especially, I'm so sorry, Biasin, but then everyone doesn't like pharmacology sessions much.
No, actually,
So
we are
if
taught
they have-
It's
of,
okay. I understand. I understand.
Yes.
It's okay.
no, we are taught of one more concept also. We are taught of that we divide the group into the class into 5 groups. So one is a paracetamol group, the weak opioid group, the strong opioid group, and then somebody can like those groups come out with the advantages, disadvantages, and the clinical applications of their drug. So sort of it becomes very interactive and lively. Otherwise, pharmacology is a little.
So you can make it a little more interactive so that it will retain or like case scenarios is the best way. But again, yesterday, as Dr. Reena ma'am told, they are just out of school. So if you talk about cancer pain and the suffering, it's always about other people's business. They don't understand. So probably take scenarios which they can relate to day-to-day scenarios so that they will feel more engaged, giving some activities like making a poster or coming up with the writing, so giving some small gifts to someone who's writing a good reflective writing in the end or something. So that's one way to go about it. I am more interested in how you're going to go and integrate that in the pharmacology lectures, because that's the only way we can make this program possible. I'll just go through the chat. Yes, self learning in the beginning and then task of postures. Yes. Yes. So how to judiciously use this medication, they might have learned, but when to use what in pain, that you might need maybe one lecture to cover with the case scenarios that will be. So one session, I think in the previous batch, we were mentioning about, we talk about the economic part of it, about the cost of medications being used. So one activity we discussed is about telling them to go and find out the cost of medications as an activity. Tell them to go and find out. They write combinations, right? What is the cost of paracetamol and what is the cost when they write give some task. One group will go and find out the money needed for buying these medications for these many days. So that's another way of approaching the multimodal approach to pain management. So then they will start thinking how this person is going to buy what they're going to write. So that's just one way of engaging them in some activities and making them understand in an interactive way. Thank you so much, Group 3 and Dr. Nilakshi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Group 4, I think Dr. Rama Devi.
Yeah. Can I share my slide actually?
We'll
Do I
make you
have to-
co-host.
do I-
Just
Yeah.
give a yes. Now you can. Ma'am, are you able to share now? We made you co-host.
1 second. Is it visible right now?
Yes, yes. It is visible.
Okay. Okay. So on behalf of Team B, I'll be presenting for actually we have been assigned assessment of pain and suffering for second year students. So we'll have to have a how to assess the pain with PQRST's model. It is know how and or show how, and how to use different pain scales. Again, that also comes under the competence of know how or show how, and how to document pain on the body chart. So we as a team decided, okay, we play a small video initially. We have been allotted 2 hours plus 2 hours. We thought we'll divide this 4 hours into 2 different days. And initial day, we thought we'll have a video, we'll show a video, ask the students what they have understood from the small video, and we will divide the group into smaller groups, and the learning objectives will be to evaluate a patient with pain, measure the severity of pain, use the various pain tools, and the importance of proper history in evaluating pain, and the use of body chart. So this will be again divided into learning objectives will be again divided into 10 minutes. So it will totally come to 50 minutes. And we will later on we will have the discussion part. The second day we will have the role play, minimum 2 cases, 30 minutes. And again we will be asking the students what they have understood from the role play, how the history taking, how the palliative care physician has approached palliative care physician, and what are the things they have take home message they have got regarding the detailed history taking, specific questions related to pain, explore other symptoms, psychosocial and spiritual suffering, examination and investigations. Like building up the relationship, listening actively, conveying that you are caring, that the approach that the palliative care physician has to take. All these things will be better explained with a role play. So we thought we'll have 2 scenarios of role play so that the students will understand it better. One is a bad role play and one will be a good role play to understand how a physician has to behave to a person who is coming with pain. Then coming to the assessment and documentation, we will be using the PQRST model and ask regarding the cause, duration, effect of on sleep, function, the ADL, the activities of daily living, the palliative or provocative, aggravating and relieving factors, quality, radiation. All this will roughly take 30 minutes if you're having a PowerPoint presentation. And we'll be explaining the different types of pain scales which are available, and for each pain scale where we have the use. For example, for a descriptive pain scale and a numerical pain scale where you are able to just find the numbers and say. And for children, when we are using the visual faces, Van Gogh's faces scale, and the body charting when we are taking a detailed history regarding the type of pain and the radiation of pain, and when you are especially dealing with the total pain, when the patient has to say about the pain and radiation of pain. And when coming to the assessment, we'll be having a evaluation and we'll be having a post-test MCQ for 30 minutes. So that's how we have decided to. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rama. I think these questions are also very interesting. Why you think that this person is angry, and what do you think is going through that contributing factors and the financial implications. Maybe this is where you can tell them to go and find out the costing for coming to hospital. You can just ask them to calculate how long it is, so they'll understand the financial implications also. That's so the questions are the topics for discussion are also.
Ma'am, this was a quick thing that I have taken from the documents which was shared with us. Thanks for sharing.
So these are simple questions. We are not asking big discussions there, right? These are students will be able to discuss all these questions in a simple way. And very importantly in pain assessment, to convey to look them beyond the physical 1 to 10 pain score and the site duration, PQRST, but also about checking whether the patient understands what the family understands, etc. in pain assessment and various pain scales. Thank you. Thank you. Would like to hear from other participants. What do you think? Anything else that you can think of in the session? Yes, clinical posting in emergency department can also help in assessment of pain. I think, yeah. Baburaj sir, are you there? What do you think about posting them in because you are in emergency medicine and you are the pain clinic head? So, do you think it will be helpful to post students so that?
Posting in emergency medicine is okay, but I think the priority in an ED will be management of patients. So I don't think they're going to learn in additional points from ED. So they can practice the pain management practice in ED, but ED cannot be used as an area from where they can learn pain management. They can practice it after learning it from somewhere else. Because in ED, it is always a dynamic area. So I don't think. But in the ED, they can emphasize the importance of assessing pain in ED. That point can be highlighted.
And sir, probably maybe in ED, the physical pain will be focusing, right? The focus will be more on assessing the physical pain. And here you talk about talking to patient about understanding of pain, and then the priority is not that in an ED, maybe to fix the immediate problems probably.
Mainly acute pain.
Yeah.
So in ED, always, acute pain is the issue other than chronic pains. Of course, acute and chronic can come, but the major component would be an acute pain. But of course, asking for pain in an ED can be emphasized. You should ask. Anybody coming to ED, ask, do you have pain? That particular question should be there, and that can be taught to the students. Ask about pain.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Varsha is telling they can also utilize skills lab before going to ED, probably. Yes, Dr. Biasin is suggesting assessment in OSCE stations. Yes, that's another way to go about it. That's a very good way of going, because then they have to actually do what they're supposed to do with the real patient. So you can assess based on certain criteria that you can develop. Have they made the patient comfortable? Have they asked about the other dimensions of pain? Have they asked about not just about physical pain? All this can be. Yes, Dr. Narayan, that's also possible. Can take them to pain clinic. The only problem is if you are taking in small batches, that's possible. But big batches may not be possible to handle in a pain clinic. Or patient, we sometimes use real patients' videos where they have expressed or they have explained how they feel pain. If you have some videos like that, that's also possible too. And but again, it is an assessment session, so probably the patient experience may not be that relevant. That might have happened in the previous initial 1 or 2 sessions where they talk about the different dimensions of pain. Thank you so much, Group 4 and Dr. Rama, for representing Group 4. And the last group, Group 5, Dr. Suman.
Yes, ma'am. So we had discussed in our group, and we had come with the following points. So for this topic for the class is application of pain relief to suit individual patient needs. And this will be taught to the final year MBBS students who will be approximately 150 in number. And so our objective will be to understand the application of pain relief to suit individual patient needs. So now, because already they are in the final year, so like we expect they know a lot about the pain and all. So what we do is first, there are a lot of objectives for this topic which we had made. So this will be made by the whoever is taking the topic. So we have divided the topic into the following objectives. The first objective will be list all the 4 dimensions of pain. The second one will be describe the pathophysiology of pain management. The third one will be enumerate the tools used for the assessment of pain. The fourth one will be explain the use of WHO ladder for pain management. And the fifth one will be discuss the pain management with a holistic approach. Sixth one is demonstrate the application of pain relief which suits individual patient needs. And the last one, seventh one, will be describe the barriers of pain management. So these will be the objectives which for this particular topic, which will be framed by us. And then what we do is we give a case scenario to the students, and we divide the 150 students even before the class, before they actually come for the topic discussion, into 35 groups of 30 each. So it will be like a flipped classroom. So we give the case scenario prior to them, and we give them the materials like how you had done to us. So we give the case scenario, and we give the questions related to each group for the discussion. And then they have to come prepared for the next day. So this will be about 2 hours duration. So once they come to the class, we'll give them a pre-test comprising of 10 questions for 10 minutes. And then again, the next 10 minutes, the case scenario which was given on the previous day will be shown to everybody. And then the division of the groups, we will just introduce everybody. So these are the groups, and this is the case scenario, and how the topics which were divided for each groups will be told. Next is, so we will for each group we will be giving each as means the questions pertaining to that particular topic. For example, for the first group, we can give list the 4 dimensions of pain. Then the second group can explain the pathophysiology. So like that we will do for 10 minutes. And then once the discussion is done, so each group will be presenting to the entire class their particular topic. So depending on the topic, so the time will be allotted for each group. For example, so the first topic will be 4 dimensions of pain. So that can be completed in 10 minutes, I guess. So that 10 minutes will be given. So for each group, 10 minutes will be given. But for one group, where we give the demonstration of the application of pain relief, so that can be done in the form of role play. So that particular group will be given little more time, maybe like 20 minutes. So like that we do. And then once all this is done, the last 10 minutes, we can ask them to write the reflections, and then we can summarize the topic. So what are the key points for that particular discussion? The facilitator. So we will be summarizing the things and the important discussions happened. And then the last 10 minutes also can be given for post-test. So this is how we had planned for our.
Thank you, Dr. Suman. Would like to hear from other group members. Any more to add?
So we can also give them in the form of PBL also, because already they are in the final year, they know a lot about the pathophysiology, everything, domains of pain. So it can also be done, but the only thing is it cannot be taken continuously for 2 hours. We can split them into 1 hour and 1 hour. So 1 hour, the topic can be given, then they will discuss, they will form groups, and the next 1 hour they will come back with that, and we can. But the only thing is we need more facilitators. We need more people. If they are available, definitely we can do in the form of PBL.
And when you are dividing into these many groups, we may not be able to hear from all the groups, right? 5 minutes for each group for 30 groups will take a long time, right? So you can choose maybe 2 or 3, or depending on the time you have, you can choose a few and then go on with the next part. We may not get time to discuss everyone's summary.
Yes, sir.
When it is such a big group.
Ma'am, can I say something here?
Yes, Dr. Anupama, please.
Yes. So what ma'am is saying is we will give the case scenario, and each domain will be addressed as far as the case scenario is concerned. So every team should get their say, because If we are saying I'm dividing them into teams of 5 or 6, and I'm giving them each of my learning objective, like ma'am has said. So one group of students will be discussing regarding that case scenario, what are all the domains that are specific to that case scenario, to that person, what domains of pain are involved for that person. So the whole class is hinging upon that case that we are giving to the students prior day. So
Ideally, yes. Ideally, all the groups should get time to summarize. But I was just wondering, you were mentioning about how many groups you are planning.
ma'am, 5
Five,
groups,
five
ma'am,
groups,
and
30.
yeah,
Sorry.
some
I
topics.
really thought it is 30 groups. That's what I was telling. No, you
No,
don't get time.
5 groups of 30
5 groups
each.
of 30
Yeah.
each.
Okay. Great. Yeah, 5 is doable. I thought it's like small groups of lot of groups. So then you don't get time. Even if you give 5 minutes, you will not get time to come back and summarize. Yeah, I understand.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'll just check the chat also. Yes. Yeah, that is also very important. As Dr. Sailu mentioned, it is when dividing them into groups, train the facilitators. Sometimes in physical sessions, I don't think every group will have a facilitator because virtual, you know that sometimes they get stuck or some people may not be interacting. We don't know whether they'll be switching off the video. They will not be even there. So we need someone to facilitate the discussion. But when you are doing in person, each group may not need a facilitator. If you have, well and good. But otherwise, you can tell the students that you should choose the person who is presenting in the beginning, someone to take the notes, someone to make sure that everyone is included in the discussion. And then in person, I think we were doing like that. Only one person, one faculty will be there. They will be having group work on their own. But online, maybe we need someone to facilitate the discussion. Usually, such clinical topics can be taken up in the clinical posting. Yes, that's a very good idea. We don't need to spend a lot of time in taking lectures. Also, when they come to medicine posting or something, you can ask about. You can give a scenario, or when the actual patient is there, probably you can tell them to assess and come up with a management plan, a care plan, making a care plan. So that has to be tailored for individual needs, right? Care plan, you cannot write general care plan. We should say that's easy to integrate with the clinical topics ideally, because then the groups will be smaller and more maybe patient based approach is possible then. Thank you so much, Group 5 and Dr. Suman, for summarizing it. Before winding up, I would like to ask the experts in the group to, is there any comments from your side? Some of you you were with the previous batches also. So is there anything that you would like to add about today's discussion?
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Vineetha, please.
I was just having a personal question regarding like how what is the time duration that probably they could keep for that one lecture, because this is first year students that we are about, and again bombarding them with a new concept of the approach that we're taking in palliative care, and whether like our group we were talking about 2 hours, so I just wanted your suggestion on it.
I think we have enough medical education experts in this group among the participants as well as the mentors. So probably I can give it to the group. What do you think will be the ideal time for a lecture for these students?
If it is pure lecture, not more than 40 minutes. If it is pure interactive lecture. But for first year students, you need to know the dimensions of pain. You can even, they have got early clinical exposure. Maybe you can combine it. You can mix and match actually, depending on where it gels most. Here we are taking one topic isolated, but then when you look at the whole posting, you can put it in a place where it will be maximally useful for the person. I understand that the dimension of pain, all they need to know are the dimensions only.
Yes. We don't even need a lecture probably for that topic. If they can get
Yeah,
an
yeah.
early clinical exposure, the 1 hour that you use will convey whatever you want to convey without any single slide. So that's the best way to go ahead. But when we discussed that in the beginning, when we were creating the modules, then everyone told, but we don't have a palliative, or we don't see such patients, we don't have a community program, we can't take them to this. So it depends on the institution where you are, but some institutions actually do it. They take them to the nearby health center, or I'm sure Dr. Sairu is taking students to the community as a part of the family adoption program. You might be
Yes.
seeing one patient with pain or the total suffering. You are taking them to a family. You can ask students, what do you think is happening in the family? That's the best way to convey the multi-dimension or various dimensions of pain. You don't need a classroom lecture at all.
Ma'am, even I had one small question.
Yes, Dr.
To make the first year understand the dimensions of the pain, all the dimensions of the pain, because we don't have clinical postings in the first year. So what can be done to make them understand completely all the dimensions of the pain? So we can understand, we can make them understand the physiology, the basic concepts, the pain receptors, because that will be covered in the physiology. But to make them understand the psychosocial aspects without any clinical posting, it will be a little bit difficult.
Yesterday, Doctor, I think Dr. Reena was telling her experience in teaching medical students, where she will create a scenario like stage by stage, which is something which they can relate to, age appropriate, because they are all kids out of school, maybe 18. So you can't talk about intractable cancer pain and patient with poverty. They don't understand that. So she was telling to create scenario which they can relate to. And she had a few years back, she shared a workbook on which they will start writing all the problems that they thought of, and then make them divide it into 4 different dimensions, and then make them. It's like a progressive exercise. She'll give the scenario and then ask one question, and then go ahead with the scenario later. Then this happened. Then they write a little bit about it. So that's how she did. She once shared about her lecture on pain. So they give that workbook to the students once they are back, so they can just go through it later without taking them to clinic. But with early clinical exposure, that is quite possible to give that exposure if you have any option. Yes, Dr. Sunil.
Even for the non-medicals, for the ordinary or lay people, I used to tell them a story. So what I usually tell them is, consider 2 scenarios. One is they are cooking something, and they're cutting vegetables. They were very happy because um, depending on the people whom you are taking class, maybe their son got a good job in somewhere, and all of them were very happy, and going to have food from outside, and watching cinema, etc. And on that day, they were cutting the vegetable. They got a small cut on the finger. That's one scenario. And then I will change the scenario. Like now, suppose suddenly there was a call or order from the um, secretary or somebody that just a job offer was done by mistake, and now all of them are very sad, because previously they thought that they got a good job, and now it has gone. And now they are in the kitchen, and cutting the vegetables with the same knife and same uh, place. They got a small cut on the finger. So which scenario, or does this different scenarios will have more or same thing? So people will understand that, and they will tell that the second scenario we will have more pain. So that way you can actually introduce this even to non-medicals.
One experience I have to share is that initially I thought that first years may not be able to appreciate the social and or the so-called psychosocial, maybe the social aspects. But then in my experience, I found that the palliative unit which the students run, we had initially thought they would start from third year onwards, but they themselves, the first year started going for home care. They themselves voluntarily, we didn't ask them. And I think it is our myth that we feel that they are not able to understand, but I think they're more able to intuitively understand certain things, maybe not the way we want it fully, but then it will be a sensitizing sort of thing that happens in the first year when they meet real patients in the field.
That's a great learning, ma'am. I think maybe they are not yet biased with all the medical knowledge when they are on the first year.
Exactly. Because my experience is when we try to extract, okay, why a person died. We gave a scenario, 18-year-old died during childbirth. What are the reasons? The first years brought out all the social reasons, inaccessibility, all those things. Fourth years, they couldn't go beyond that PPH, those medical causes. It was very visible. The same day we did the exercise in the first years and in the fourth years. Fourth years were stuck to the medical model. First years, they could think of all the social causes that can go into the death of an 18-year-old lady while giving birth, including illiteracy, not everything. That's our experience.
Thank you so much for sharing, ma'am. So I think all of you can get hold of them as early as possible to understand, make them understand the dimensions of pain, and I think that will be engraved even if they reach the third year, fourth year, when you start as soon as possible. Thank you so much, everyone, for the wonderful group work. I thoroughly enjoyed all the feedback. We also learned, so we can keep modifying our document based on what you have shared. Thank you so much, all the mentors, for being with us for today's session. See you all tomorrow. We'll be sharing the topics and the groups as usual in the WhatsApp group, and we'll be ready with the spin wheel. Shripriya is all set. So today, whoever have presented will be free and can contribute for tomorrow's session. Thank you so much, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.